All right, joining me this week is Dr. Ben Liu, owner of SuperKids Pediatric Dentistry. Ben, how's it going?
How's it going, Michael?
Doing pretty good, doing pretty good. If you can let our audience know, where are you located at?
So I'm in the DC metro area. We have 5 locations. We have 3 in the Northern Virginia area and 2 in Montgomery County, Maryland.
So before we dive in, what's something about your journey that people are always surprised to learn?
I think, you know, owning 5 offices, I always get, how are you doing this? Can you manage everything and trust that everything's going the way that you want it to run at your different offices? You have to let go a little bit. And, dentists, we like to be in control. I'm no different for sure. But I think at some point, if you want to grow and scale, you're just going to have to let go a little bit and take a leap of faith with, certain people. You have to hire the right people and give them the ability to grow. And the ones that surprise you are the ones that you can rely on to help you grow and help you expand your business.
How do you know what to start letting go of at the beginning?
Some of the smaller stuff, I would say when it comes to running a business, there's some, day-to-day operational stuff that maybe you don't necessarily have to be a part of every single day. Maybe like the financial side of things, if you want to be in control of that and, manage the money and all that, maybe that's something you still hold on to. But, just day-to-day, running an office, managing the team and, scheduling patients and all that. The first thing you have to do is create a system that they can follow. And then from there, you create a system, you find people that follows the system, and then from there, you have to find people that will teach others how to follow the system. And that's how you steadily grow it. Obviously, this is not something that happens overnight, but over time, you let people spread their wings and show you the best of themselves. And that's when you can really take off.
Yeah. Rewind a little bit. If you can let us know, what was like the first system you created where you started bringing people on board and then you realized, hey, we can let a lot of stuff go and let the system run its own way?
Our number one core value is customer service. That one has to be pounded in to everyone that works for the practice. So, starting out, it was me and 2 people. They knew my philosophy. We saw each other all day, every day. We were spending a lot of time with each other. And that's what I mean. Like, you start to develop that trust and that collaboration. And then we hired the third person and they talked to the first 2, and okay, Dr. Lou loves the, customer service and things like that. And so that's where you start to really be like, okay, well, when you get on the phone, you got to be polite, you introduce yourself and all that. When they come in, greet them with a smile. And then when they leave, say, thanks for coming in. Like, those are the first things that you have to lay that foundation for. If you're going to make customer service your number one core value, those are the things you have to work on. And so that was the first thing for me to make sure that it was systemized. After that, then it just becomes, filling the schedule, how to schedule patients and things like that. And those, details you work out later on. But starting out, customer service had to be the number one system. Yep.
Gotcha. Interesting. So you collaborated a lot with 2 people that you had at the beginning.
Yeah, there were two employees, but again, I never really saw it as, hey, I'm your boss, you listen as I say. I don't think they see me as, that boss where I am the boss, obviously, but at the same time, I felt as a collaboration, as a partnership, like, let's build this together. And I still say this to this day, even though we're up to about 35, 40 people in our organization, I still tell the one that come in, like, we're partners. Like, I rely on you. I'm not going to be here to make sure you're doing your job. So I rely on you. Like, treat this as your own practice. Treat the patients as they were your own, have that responsibility. And I think it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Level the playing field a little bit.
It's just to make sure you have that sort of, mentality that, yeah, I'm the owner, I'm the boss and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like, they know their role and how important that they are to the day-to-day treating patients. And as long as they take ownership of that and you commend them on that when they do a good job, then, it continues. So
have you ever had to, in any of those senses, not discipline, but more so like, hey, you guys aren't doing it right? And then now they're like, oh, he is and then does that mess up the...
No. This is one thing I learned early on in leadership, is that when you're praising, you praise in an audience. Like, you praise someone in front of everyone else. But then when you're, let's say, disciplined, but just say, okay, you need to work on this. You pull them into a room and say, hey, I saw this happen. You got to work on it better next time. To this day, that's still how I work with a team. So I think the best analogy is I've always just visualized my practice sort of a train on a track. And if I see it sort of veering left or veering right, that's my job at this point, I feel, is just to make sure it's, going the right direction. And just, again, talking to people, communication, constant communication. That's another core value of our practice, is the constant communication.
Gotcha. When it comes to constant communication, how do you view something as like high alert? Like, hey guys, continue to communicate with me about this stuff. And then, hey guys, this is just talk. We don't really need to be always communicating with me.
Early on, I was pretty much involved in every aspect of the practice. But, 12 years later, I have great people that are running the show. And these days, it's just, I rely on others to filter out a lot of the things that happen. And, they know what is important. It's not to say I'm totally hands off. If anything, I've had to sort of consciously step back from the practice because I like being involved in operations of my practice. But I mean, yeah, for the most part, we're still working on fine tuning our systems, but I think it's pretty well oiled machined.
Gotcha. You said you rely on others in
Yeah.
order to filter. Is
Yeah.
that like team leads or who's that?
The way I structure my organization right now, I have an operations manager. She handles pretty much everything. I have a great HR, marketing manager, clinical operations manager. I always tell her she handles all things non-human in the office. So if it's in equipment, technology, mouse, if it doesn't live and breathe, it's your job to take care of it. And then we have a financial manager that obviously handles all the, money in, money out for the practice. So that's kind of currently how it's all set up.
Interesting. How did you create that type of like hierarchy? You know what I mean?
You have to narrow down the most important functions of the practice and try to group them all into as few groups as possible. I don't want to create like 10 groups or 10 departments. I want to minimize as much as possible, but I just came up with these four. This is actually during COVID. So we were shut down for 2-3 months. So it was during that time I came up with the structure. That's when I had enough time sitting at home, not doing anything to say, okay, what is the next step for the practice? And I said, okay, let's systemize everything, put things in departments and have really good people lead these departments. And that's where we're at right now.
Okay. Real quick, if you can let us know, what type of practice do you currently run and how has that evolved over time? Like, did your vision for the practice change as you grew or has it remained consistent and you've always had the same?
I mean, we started out, just pediatrics. We had an ortho not too late after in a few of our practices. So yeah, I mean, pedo orthos are bread and butter. I'm not trying to do any sort of, oral surgery, multi-specialty kind of thing just yet. We're trying to add ortho services in our Maryland offices. We haven't done that for a while. Maybe I was a little late to the game on that one. But I mean, for the most part, no, it hasn't really strayed from the original mission, which is, just provide the best dental care for the pediatric population in our area.
Okay, nice. And so you've built a strong team over the years, what it sounds like. How did you approach hiring your employees? Like what qualities do you look for and how has your hiring process impacted the overall success of the practice?
Well, these days, I'm pretty far removed from the hiring process. If we're hiring doctors, certainly I am involved. But back in the day, in terms of hiring, I've always said that hiring it's a hit or miss thing. They can interview well, they look great on paper, but once they come in, they just might not be the right fit for the organization. No one's ever going to bat 100 or 1,000, I guess, in this analogy in hiring. But these days, I have learned that over time, experience is great, but what's more important is maybe like a drive, reliability, and attitude. I look for smiles. I actually count how many times they smile during the interview and how they make me feel during the interview. And they give off sort of like a happy, bubbly vibe. I like that. That's huge for me. And I don't care how much experience they have or not. I feel like a lot of stuff we give strong systems can be trained. We are hiring for personality, and then we'll train for skill.
Gotcha. Have you ever had an experience of a bad hire that you had to deal with for a while?
Absolutely.
So how did that roll?
I don't want to speak ill of, I was just, again, it wasn't really the right fit. It wasn't really, there is an example in my head. I mean, I interviewed well, spoke well, but when it came time to getting the nitty gritty and getting the work done, just the performance just wasn't really quite there. And that was a pretty high position that I had hired for. I don't really see things as mistakes. I'd say something more as it was a lesson learned that, maybe experience isn't that important. So I did learn from that.
Gotcha. You said it wasn't the right fit, but at the interview process, it was like good and everything bubbly.
Yeah, she spoke well and her emails are so professionally well written. And I was like, I'm so excited, to get started with this. But
yeah, when you said performance wasn't there, was that the experience part you're talking about or what was specifically
I mean,
about
I
that?
guess there are certain expectations for that position. I'm trying not to give away too much because then again, I don't want to speak ill of anyone, but it was just, she said she could do certain things. And when it came time and we saw what she produced and the quality of the product just wasn't to my standards, just wasn't what I was expecting. And, she was paid a decent amount of money. So it was kind of like, I need to see more. And I gave her multiple chances. And I always give people very many chances. Some people said I'm too nice to just let people just keep going. But in that instance, I just let it drag for a little while. These days, I became a lot quicker at being able to see, okay, well, is this person going to last or not?
Yeah. So what are the principles that you see or like the signs where you're like, they're not going to last, even though at the beginning they looked really good?
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 things we look for, like I've said: reliability, attitude, and productivity, performance. Those are the 3 things. And I've always said that if they have 2 of those 3, they're usually going to be okay in our organization. We're not expecting perfect, 3 across the board. Reliability, though, is actually a pretty big one. The people that we have had to let go, it usually comes down to reliability. And I think about people who are very reliable I don't know if we've ever let go of someone who was just very reliable. If they had performance issues, we try to work with them. If they had, attitude, one comes to mind, I won't say who, but she was reliable. So she stayed on for a little bit. Yeah, we learned reliability is a pretty big one. Got to show up for your
Interesting.
job, right?
Yeah. So lack of reliability looks like what? Is it that just like not showing up or?
He's not showing up late, always coming up with excuses. Monday mornings are always, oh, I can't make it. I'm sick. The part you don't hear is, from a hangover, but they don't tell
Okay.
you that part. You stay this long, I've hired this many people, you kind of see certain patterns. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So then now you're not so much involved in the hiring process. You're delegating that to,
My HR manager, yeah, and my operations manager.
oh, they both work together on that.
Yeah, they work very closely together on that. HR recruits, right? Once you get the person in the door, then operations needs to know this person. They're going to work with them every day. So,
Hmm.
so it's a team process.
Has there ever been a time where you've gotten a string of like, hey, they're not good performers or they're not good people we've had on the team, and that's like an effect of the operations and HR manager miscommunicating kind of a thing?
I mean, there are certain offices where it's a little harder to hire just because maybe the demographic or, the work population just isn't as strong. We've seen that. I haven't seen anything where, it's just, last four people we hired were all like, grumpy, unreliable people. I haven't seen that yet. But again, the people that are in charge of my HR and operations, they've been with me since the beginning. So they know who I am. They know what we're looking for. So they try their best. And like I said, they certainly don't bat 1,000 either because, people can look good on paper and be a different story Monday morning when they come to work.
Interesting. So, how is the business performing overall in terms of production? Like, what key factors do you think contributed to your current level of success?
We're growing year over year. I think last year we grew like 10%, 12%. So, I mean, pretty decent. What contributed? I mean, marketing, we have, I think last count was almost 2,000 five-star Google reviews across all 5 locations. And I was always big on that from day one. I said, we have to get Google reviews. I said that because I would put myself in the shoe of a consumer and say, well, how would I pick a dentist? I'm going to go on their website and see how many reviews they have. So I'm like, okay, well, then let's do that. So that's why I was always big on that. So my team will tell you they know Dr. Lou cares about the reviews and it worries them sometimes when like a patient leaves unhappy for whatever reason. They're afraid to get a bad review and Dr. Lou reads it. So that's kind of what I've heard from the grapevine. But I mean, overall, other things like insurance, we're a heavy insurance-based practice. So you don't have to negotiate with the insurances to get higher fees and things like that. But yeah, we try to pull every lever that we can to increase production for sure, while maintaining our standards of customer experience.
What are you doing to get reviews? You just have your team ask or?
Yeah, just straight up ask. We have like little stands on our front desk with like a QR code on it. We try to ask every new patient, hey, how was your experience? It was great. Just can you put your phone, point at this QR code and just leave us something nice to say. And for the most part, people are very willing to do that. I get asked that too. I go to a restaurant, I go to somewhere and they say, hey, would you mind leaving us? Especially me, having my own small business, I know how important it is. I'm happy to do that. But I get some pushback from my team and they're like, oh, I feel like we're begging for them to do something for us. I'm like, really, begging is just asking for a favor. And if they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. But yeah, we are pretty big on that. So that's remarketing. It's just asking a question, hey, let's review.
No, that's good. That's good. What do you do in the case of a negative review?
In the case of a negative review, the first thing I do is, because I get all the reviews coming in, I get all the notifications. So if I see a 1-star review, and the first thing I do is send it to my operations manager, say, can you look into this for me? And Daira, that's her name, she knows how important these are. So she does her own investigation and then just kind of lets me know what happened. And from there, we make a determination, was it something that we did wrong? Did we fall short? Or was it something, it's just an upset parent or someone with, maybe unrealistic expectations that, just got angry for whatever reason. And, I understand, people have bad days and, you can't please everyone. So it's not like, oh my God, we get a 1-star review, you're suspended for the next day. It's not like that at all. It's more so let's look into it, definitely investigate it. And I'll say half the time it's just the person having a bad day. It is what it is.
You guys write back on there or no?
We used to. I've been told that I should be better about that. Maybe I should do that a little bit more. I think Google has something where it's like an auto reply kind of thing. So they say thank you for the review in like 10 different ways. And if it's a false short one, they have like 10 different ways of saying it. But before in the past, I was better about like the 1-star reviews, leaving something back. But thankfully, we don't get too many of those. So I don't have to worry too much about writing back.
All right, nice, man. And Yelp,
Yeah.
do you guys utilize Yelp or no?
We don't use Yelp. I'm not a big Yelp person. I know we have some pretty bad reviews on Yelp. I don't know where they come from, honestly. Some of them I just read, I'm like, this is crazy, like something sound like us. But again, I'm very attuned to, what the patients are saying about our practice. And for the most part, 99% of the time, like your Google reviews are awesome. So they've been offsetting. We have like 2 or 3 like really bad reviews. I don't know where they came from. But then it's got like 400 5-star reviews on Google.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like,
Yeah.
I think I'm okay.
That's interesting. So you got to kind of have to pick your lane, right? In the sense of like, I want to have good reviews everywhere. But do you
Yeah.
think Yelp is kind of like a mafia in the sense of that, where they're like, hey,
I don't know. I don't know if Yelp's changed their business model in the last few
mhm,
years. Honestly, I haven't revisited that in a while. But again, I haven't really found the necessity to do that because again, most people come in and say they heard about us on Google. Now we have offices that have decent Yelp reviews. So if those people came in and said we saw you through Yelp, I would perk my ears up because okay, you found us through Yelp, good reviews there. But then are they looking at the bad Yelp reviews in my other office? I haven't seen or found that yet. So for
yeah,
now, we're just kind of let it go.
let it go. Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. That's good. So then talk to me about, if you could recall in your memory, the bad day, meaning like you've experienced maybe one day throughout your whole startup journey, and this is a bad day, and you're like, man, nothing can go worse, and something went worse.
I mean, I would say the worst things that happen would be like, your compressor goes down or your vacuum goes down and you can't see patients or, we're in an area where like the electricity, sometimes if it rains a little bit, the power goes out. The days are full of patients. So you got to move all those patients. The doctor's not happy because they lose production. The staff needs to go. Those are kind of like the bad days, if you will.
Mhm.
But other than that, no, not really. We always push ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you do in the moment now, looking back, that you wish you would have done during bad days?
Well, I mean, it depends on what caused the bad day. Like the instances I just gave, I can't stop the rain from knocking down a power line. I mean, yeah, maybe I can maintain my compressors better. So yeah, if you want to talk about that, we try to, learn about maintaining our systems. I think our AC also went out one of our offices. So we had to pivot there and get like a manual AC kind of thing in there. I always try to treat these bad days, if we will, more so as learning days. So
Mhm.
that way you can be, okay, well, this happens next time, we can take care of it. It's like, I'll give you a great example. It's like there was an office, two offices actually, where for some reason or another, Comcast, the signal just wasn't very good. Sometimes it just dropped and we just lost the internet. So I actually asked my IT guy to install a backup system in our offices. Yeah, I got to pay a little bit more. It's not that much, but it's a backup. So in case the main internet goes down, it's this backup line. So we have constant internet going because we're a cloud-based system. Everything's
Mhm.
internet-based. And so if the internet goes out, we have something we can rely on. So get 5G connection. So again, that was learned from what happened.
Yeah, you're learning from these
We're
bad
learning.
days.
I'm always learning. Learning is never ending for me. And I love
Gotcha.
it. I love it.
Well,
That's what keeps me going.
you mentioned you also negotiate with insurances. You guys are heavily insurance based. Do you guys use a company for that, or?
We did. We used a few different companies. We got uneven results. So we kind of started doing it on our own this past year and found out it's not too hard. It's really just, hey, we don't like your fees. Give us something better or we're dropping you. And it's just a
Yeah.
lot of back and forth emails and following up and things like that. And some of the insurances are not the most responsive, if you will. So you got to harass them a little bit more. But I mean, it's not a hard thing to do.
Gotcha. So you
Yeah.
recommend that, like eventually, like, hey guys, have someone in house to do it.
I mean, it depends. If you're listening to this and you have your own prior, I mean, I think the insurances allow negotiations once every 2 years. So if you haven't negotiated your fees in 2 years or more, yeah, either hire a company. I'm not saying anything wrong with hiring a company. We start with hiring a company and see what they can do for you, and then maybe what I would suggest, maybe having with the experience that I have, maybe hire a company and then maybe on your own, negotiate one or two of the insurances. Let's pick one or two. Tell the company, hey, don't worry about Aetna or whatever. We'll work with them. You go do this. And kind of see how it goes. And run too late and see, oh, well, I made Aetna give me 30% more while this company is still dragging their feet on, Cigna. Let me call Cigna. That would be a
Yeah.
suggestion I get. From people I spoke to, the more experience they have, I've learned that a lot of times they just negotiate on their own.
Interesting. So, I mean, could you mess it up? If you're doing it on your own, you're like, oh man, I messed it up. They decided they're like, hey, just drop me. I don't care. And I'm like, man, I was just bluffing it, kind of a thing. Or
Yeah, worst case, you say, well, I'm going to drop you if you don't increase your fees. And they say, okay, we're not going to increase our fees. Well, then you have a decision to make. It's a tricky, complex game for sure. And, you want to get into the nitty gritty of it. All these insurances pay under certain umbrellas, like I guess like a big group that has higher fees or whatever. So you got to drop the direct contract with this insurance to go into an umbrella network and this and that. So it's like you kind of have to draw on a piece of paper and say, okay, well, which insurance pays under what fee and all that. But if you can keep track of all that, which isn't that hard, and manage all that, then certainly it's something you can look into trying to do on your own.
yeah, that's good, man. The person you have that does that separate on their own or their front office?
I have a separate billing department. They just handle all that stuff.
Wow. That's nice. Awesome. So then what is a system in your practice that you consider unique or particularly effective?
In regards to,
Any system where you're like, you're proud of it. You're like, well, we created this. This is our system. It can be like the new patient experience, or it can be something operational, clinical, anything.
I mean, I've had a few patients commend us on just our new patient intake. I've always been big on trying to make the new patient experience, especially at the beginning, as seamless as possible. And so we have iPads, we have forms. When they call and make an appointment, we email them the form so they can get that filled out before they come in. If they come in, they haven't filled them out, no problem. We'll give them an iPad. It's easy to do. No clipboard and pen, like old school style. We'll just have an iPad. They fill it out and that's it. And even to the detail of what questions are asked on the intake form, I was involved in that. I filled out forms where it's asking for like your grandfather's social security number. It's like, why do we need to know that? That's useless. So it's like, I need your name. I need your phone number. I don't even know if I need your address on this. And everything's on the phone line. Name, phone number, email, kid's name, your insurance, blah, blah, blah. And that's it. I've said just minimize it as much as possible. And one parent, this was a few months ago, randomly reached out and he actually said your new patient intake process is amazing. And I was so proud of that. You don't hear that a lot. But I guess this person probably is a small business owner. Sometimes you hear these compliments from certain people, like you probably own your own business. Like you can appreciate things like this. So
yeah. So it's just the intake form is super simple.
Intake form, health history, HIPAA, all that kind of stuff, just simplifying that as much as possible.
And they can fill that out like online. They fill it out.
Yeah, fill it out. And I've done it because I want to be an exercise for myself. So like 10 minutes, max 10 minutes.
And does your team call them to like confirm or anything like that or no?
I think we have like text messaging confirmation. If they don't respond, those ones are like click one if you can make it, two or not. If we don't hear anything, then we call them.
That system that you have, it's automated. Is it like under your practice management software or?
It's another software that we use called NextHealth, Patient Communications.
And so NextHealth, has that been pretty good for you guys for integrating everything?
It has. It does our intake forms, online scheduling. Online scheduling has been something big that I've looked into as well. We've had online schedule, I think, for about 2 or 3 years now. Basically, you can just go online and just make the appointment. You don't need to call and speak to a person. Again, trying to make it as easy as possible to make an appointment. So you're up at 9 o'clock at night and you Google us and you see that, we're awesome. You don't want to wait till the morning to call us. Right on our website, front page, schedule an appointment. It's right there.
Why'd you guys go with NextHealth?
I saw them at a conference and just like the presentation and the layout and all that. And so far, so good.
Yeah. And your practice management software is what?
Dentrix Ascend. So we're cloud-based.
Okay. And how are you guys liking Dentrix Ascend?
It's great. Love it. I mean, it's perfect for where we're at, 5 locations, seeing everything in one screen is very helpful.
Yeah. Did you have like Dentrix before and then you decided to upgrade to Dentrix Ascend?
Yeah. So we had desktop Dentrix since the beginning up until 21, I think. It was Dentrix desktop, if you will. So we had a server in each office and that kind of stuff. But then, it was got to be kind of a hassle since all the offices were so interconnected to have to like log into another office computer to make an appointment for a patient there or whatever, or to see the screen, you would have to use a remote software. This one, cloud, you just literally log into the internet and you can see all of our office schedules.
So there's been a lot of like, hey, should we go cloud-based or should we continue to get with our regular server IT? What would you say are like the 3 benefits and maybe like some cons for having it?
Well, I mean, the benefits of cloud is, you can access it anywhere, but that's also negative as well, right? I mean, if you're in a coffee shop somewhere, you shouldn't be opening up the schedule and showing the whole, who's going to be your patient the next day. So that's something that we have to certainly work on. But just like ease of use, like I said, you have to use a middleman software to get in nowadays. Like if you have an internet connection, I can log in and see what's there. Other than that, everything is still pretty much the same. I guess one key difference is with the cloud-based, you're relying on the internet. So in the past, when we had Dentrix desktop, if the internet went down, it actually was okay. The server still had that connection. So it just displayed the most recent schedule, which is, if you lost your power at 2 p.m., it'll show what was there at 1:59 p.m., which is pretty much the same, right? So you're good. Here, if the power goes out, your internet goes out, you're flying blind. So that's, one area that kind of sucks. But again, I installed that backup so we would not have that happen. Other than that, Dentrix is a great piece of software to use. And they've done a good job with the interface and make it very user-friendly. So,
were you shopping around for other cloud practice management, or no, you're just like, let's just move up?
I did look at a few different practice management softwares. I wanted to go cloud for sure. I was looking at Dentrix, like Dentrix Ascend and then Dentrix Enterprise. And the Enterprise was probably a little too much for me. I'm definitely not enterprise level yet, but Ascend was a good middle ground.
Awesome. So then what was too much for you with Dentrix Enterprise?
Well, I mean, the cost, I think, is a whole nother level. And there were some features I think I didn't really need at that time. So I think Ascend, they created a sort of like a, for someone like me, like, multiple practices, we're not talking like 50 practices, but like 5, 6, whatever. Ascend will be a good product for that. So,
that's good to know. Good to know. So then transitioning to your new patient growth.
Yeah.
How many new patients do you typically bring in each month? Like a good range with all practices?
With a combination of all practices, our target is about 250 new patients a month.
Wow. Okay. And it's like split evenly or divided evenly with it?
Some more than others. Some areas are high growth. Some areas, that we're in is pretty much saturated at this point. There's not a lot of people moving in, people moving out. So it's kind of a little tougher in that sense. But as an average, we're shooting for 200 to 250 is a pretty solid number. I hear crazy numbers sometimes. I don't know. I believe like 500 inpatients a month or something. I'm just like, I don't know how you do that. But
Yeah.
realistically for us, I'm pretty happy we get to 250.
Nice. Okay. What strategies are you utilizing that drives that growth?
Social media is a big thing right now. I'm not a big social media guy myself, so I have people do that for me. But also, like the Google reviews, SEO, those kind of strategies to, make sure you high up in the organic rankings. Besides that, we have boots on the ground marketing, stopping by the pediatrician's offices, the daycares, the schools, and dropping off whatever, the general dentist office. And, you find that in certain offices, certain markets that works. And then certain markets, you'll never get a referral. But again, you learn and know, and okay, this is what works. This is what's shown to work. So let's just continue it. Dr. Smith will keep getting the cookies because he's sending us patients. Dr.
Yeah.
Jones down the street has never sent us patients, so no more cookies for him. Yeah, that's all it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Building partnerships. Social media. You're utilizing like Instagram or Facebook or?
Yes, Instagram is the big one. Facebook. I think they do TikTok occasionally. I'm not quite sure. Those are the main ones.
Okay. You mentioned Leslie. She's your marketing manager?
Does my marketing. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What made you decide to hire in-house instead of get an agency?
So we have an agency. So we have a marketing manager. She also does my HR. She was actually one of my first assistants. Her assisting skills are really good.
Yeah.
So, sometimes she helps with that. So it's not like she's doing full-time marketing for us. But in terms of like a point of contact, she's it. But we work with Studio 88, who did our website. They're a great company to work for. They design beautiful websites. And recently we signed up with a company called Wondrous. You've probably heard these names. And they're doing some Google ads for us, which has turned out to be pretty good as well.
Nice. Okay. A couple questions on that, but I wanted to go back a little bit on Leslie, if I can. Is it salary based or is it like people that come in? Like, how does that work, especially when someone has a lot of roles?
Yeah.
The payment or like the pay scale? With
Leslie, she kind of is jack of all trades. I kind of pay her more than she would make if she were to do any of those things on its own. She's a great assistant and great HR, everything, but it's hard. I can't be like, okay, which hat are you wearing right now? Okay, you get this rate. You're wearing your assistant today, you get this rate. It's just too difficult to do that. So, just coming to an agreement with her on what she feels she deserves and what I'm comfortable paying. And then you just go from there.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And then you mentioned Studio 88, you use them for your website. Why'd you go with them over others? They
design beautiful websites. They actually call them story sites, basically telling the story of your practice. And when I was researching, looking for a new website, this is, I think, 4 years ago or something, and just seeing, the beauty of the sites that they had. And I said, okay, this is awesome. I have to sign up with them. They designed a beautiful website for me. They're doing my SEO right now. But again, Wonders is doing Google ads. So, kind of having two agencies do their own thing, as long as it's different, it should be okay.
So then I know you might have seen this a lot, especially like on Facebook and other places, but people do say Studio 88 is more on the expensive side compared to other websites.
Yes.
Do you kind of agree with that? Not really. Was that a factor for you? Should it even be a factor for practice owners?
It depends what you're willing to invest in. That's a question, I think everyone's a little bit different. My philosophy was a website is a very important investment because it's kind of the first thing people see about your practice, right? Before they even call your office or even meet you or your team or come into your office, it's your website. And so that sets the stage for the brand. And so for me, designing a beautiful website is what captures people and catches their eye. And then they continue to explore more and see a, fresh, clean, modern site. It makes them feel a certain way. They might not necessarily know it, but it makes them feel a certain way. And then our hope is they pick up the phone and give us a call.
Okay, I like that. Why did you go with two agencies right now?
Well, Wondrous just came out because I hired a great consultant. She's been working with me. You might know her, Edna Abreu. She's been with me for a little bit. She said she had great results working with Wondrous. So I took her advice and we've been with them since I think like June. I stepped back quite a bit from the practice, so I think it's going well. I sit in on the marketing meetings like once a month, just listening in. We just started like 2 months ago. So, with marketing, it takes a little bit of time to build some sort of traction, but that's where we're at right now.
Okay, cool. Edna is your consultant.
Yeah.
Been your consultant the whole time or?
No, she just joined us, I would say May or June of this year. Actually, yeah, Edna I've known for a long time. Edna used to work for me a while ago, and then she branched off. She worked out of the practice for a little while, and then now she's doing her own thing with the consulting, which is great. She's a pleasure to work with, and she's given us terrific ideas to grow our practice. So it's been great working with her.
So why did you hire a consultant for the reasons?
Yeah, it's one of those things with consulting, you always feel like, they'll waste the money and this and that. But I feel like you bring them in and, and it was like a month-to-month thing. It was like, okay, I'm not staying for a whole year. Like I'm locked in for a year and you're happy with that. Month to month. So, she brought a lot of things to the table that we had thought of, but, maybe was a little hesitant to pull the trigger on. She was like, let's just do it. And she did. And so, that made me comfortable to say, okay, let's extend our contract, continue working. We have a lot of things in the pipeline that we're working on. A lot of it's marketing. I think so this conversation you and I are having is basically me getting out of my comfort zone. I'm not a natural speaker or anything. And you want to know the honest truth, you're actually the second podcast I've done today.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so it's like, this is not where I'm comfortable at, but if I'm going to ask my team to step out of their comfort zone, I kind of have to do the same thing. And so, to market myself, market my practice and all that, I give some credit to Edna for sure for, kind of pushing me in that way.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what things did she bring to the table? You guys were like, man, we were going to pull the trigger, but we didn't, but now we are.
Yeah. I think because, she has so many years of experience and she did certain things in her practice that, we had thought about doing, but she's actually done it in another practice and see what works and what doesn't work. So then we said, okay, if you have experience with it, can you help us do it? Because none of us had experience doing a certain thing, if you will. So it was, we're scared, if you will, or tentative. But she's like, I've done it. I know what's going to happen and let's do it. Hiccups along the way for sure. For instance, we're going to do, I think, like a Invisalign day or whatever. And, we had a little hiccup. So we had to push it back a month or two. And that's fine. As long as we try and we get to it some point, it's better than, just sitting there and just be like, oh, we should do that. We should. And let's just do it and let's see what happens. So
yeah, that's going to be nice. So then right now, throughout the time, we mentioned a couple companies. What's been some of the best companies you've worked with in supporting your practice?
Well, Studio 88 is the place to go to design a beautiful website. I would highly recommend them. We've worked with, Nice Health is great. Bird Eye is a big one for reviews. I love Bird Eye. I've been with Bird Eye for about 7 or 8 years now. They're the ones that basically send that automatic email at the end of the visit. Say, hey, how was your visit? If it was great, click here and leave us a review. So they've been pretty instrumental with that. Henry Schein's a big partner in terms of, denture descent. We're using a lot of their integrated software, like, trying to automate certain things, take it off the manual labor side of things, a lot of the number punching and all that to make it more automated, more streamlined. Other than that, I think, those are the main companies I'm thinking of.
Nice. Okay. And then every business owner has some failures or setbacks, right? So what has been your biggest failure or pitfall in running your practice?
That's a great question. I don't have a response to say, everything's been perfect. There's definitely hiccups along the way. But again, I think a lot of it just comes down to you have to trust the people that work for you. You have to give them the room to grow. And I think if you do that, more often than not, you'll be pleasantly surprised at what people are capable of. I said this to people that ask me, like, how do you want to find practice? Like, I rely on people. And I would say one of the best parts of my job is seeing people grow. And what excites me is, when I was still part of the hiring process, I always call it finding that diamond in the rough. You find that diamond and you polish them up and they become a rock star. And that's, for me, has always been, very exciting. But I won't say there's really any huge pitfalls or anything for now. It's just, make sure you're just doing right by the patient, right by your team. If you're focused on that and not always just on the numbers and all that, then I think you'll be in good shape.
Gotcha. And then for anyone who wants to grow, like the way you're growing, meaning like, man, I want to grow into another location. If you can give us an actionable instruction right now that will move the needle to like, oh, snap, here's the next step in order to do that. What would that be to go in from one practice to two?
I would say if you feel that the practice you're at right now can run without you, then you're ready for a second office. That's what I would say. If you were to just take a month off and go to fly to Paris and your office will be fine, totally ready for a second practice. And not to say that if it's not at that point, you're not ready, but you might just encounter some more challenges. It was funny. I was asked this at my previous podcast, the kind of the same thing, like what advice I would give to people who are hesitant to, open a second or third satellite practice. To just do it. If you feel you're ready, if you feel this area, there's lacking a dentist, then you feel that you can provide that need, and just go do it. Talk to advisors, talk to bank. It's easier said than done. Just go do it. Doesn't mean that you'll get it. You got to talk to bank. You got to get a loan. You got to find a space. You got to do this and that and all that. But I think it's just from a mentality and attitude standpoint, just move forward with it and just see how far it goes. I've looked at probably 25, 30 deals since I've been running my organization, and I have 5 practices. So what does that tell you? 20% of the time I get a practice, 80% it doesn't work out. But at least I pursued them. And so had I not pursued these practices, I might just be at one right now.
Gotcha. So all these practices, they've been acquisitions?
3 acquisitions, 2 de novo, 2 startups.
Okay. Do you prefer one over the other? Or?
Not really. The most recent one, the 5th office we opened, was a de novo startup. And that was just, we're in the areas with my family and just driving around and saw so many families, saw a whole entire big road, 2-lane, 4-lane highway with retail everywhere. And I'm just like, okay, let's Google who the pediatric dentist here. I was like, nobody. I said, well, really? And then I'm just driving through home, like, okay. Did a little more market research, hired a demographer and things like that. And they agreed with me too, that, yeah, absolutely, you should open pediatric dental office here. So, okay. So I got the ball rolling.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So just driving around like that. Awesome. Awesome.
Pretty much.
Last question I wanted to ask you is, how has all of this affected your personal life?
By opening multiple offices and trusting people with running the organization, finding great doctors to take care of your patients, great team members to help with that, it gives me that freedom of time to open another office or spend time with my family. I'm proud of the family that I've built with my wife or my 3 kids. And I'm proud of the fact that I can, spend time with them. I absolutely never wanted to be the kind to be, oh my God, I wish I could spend more time with my kids. Don't wish that. Just make it freaking happen. 5 p.m., clock out. It's done. Go spend time with your family. The work will always be there waiting for you. Don't think that, oh my gosh, you got to get this done or get that done. Just sacrifice family time. No, just 5, 6 p.m. or whatever, just clock out. Go spend time with family. It'll be there at 9 a.m., 8 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever it is.
Yeah. Awesome, Ben. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure. But before we say goodbye, can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Absolutely. You go to www.superkidsdentistry.com. You'll find me there. My name is Dr. Ben Liu, Benliu. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. And thank you, Michael, for having me on your podcast. This has been great.
Thank you for being on. And all that's going to be in the show notes below, including the companies that Ben mentioned, the best companies that he's worked with. They will be in the show notes below. So definitely go check them out. And Ben, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure, and we'll hear from you soon.
Appreciate it, Michael. Thank you. Take care.